Pat Salber with the Doctor Weighs In, and I'm filming from a Health Tech conference, which is the conference of Health Tech Capital. That's a lot of health tech, and by the way, there's a lot of health tech here. And I have with me Bob Messerschmidt. Did I get your name right?
Absolutely perfect.
And I'm not sure I got the name of the country. Oh, Nuon. Did I say Nuyen?
New Eon. Or
Nuion.
some people say New Eon.
New Eon. Okay, well, we're not going to go to where that name came from because we have so much stuff to
That's
talk
a long
about.
story, actually.
That's why we're not going there.
Right.
What I really want to talk about is, well, first of all, you're a serial entrepreneur and you just had the kind of exit that everybody would like to have because you sold your company to Apple. And then you decided you wanted to do something new in a startup. So tell us a little bit about what your thinking was after you left Apple, and
Right.
then what I really want to concentrate on is this, technology that you're working on, which is so exciting.
Well, I started looking around for the next thing, and I really only had two requirements. I wanted to do something that was big and something that was worthwhile.
Isn't that what everybody wants to
Well,
do?
well, I
Big and
suppose.
worthwhile.
I suppose. But I realized that there was a lot of opportunity in healthcare, a lot of problems that needed to be solved, and I thought that my particular skill set could be used to have an impact.
So you picked hypertension because that's big, right? We know it's 1 out of 3 people. And tell us what you're going to do because we've been, as a physician, this is kind of bread and butter. This is primary care. We've been measuring blood pressure for the same way for what? A couple centuries? I don't know how long it's been that we've had this Sigma monitor. 150 years. And you're proposing something that's different and I think maybe better.
Right. Well, we looked at that, and we looked at. We don't think there's any other medical measurement that has not changed at all in 150 years. So, and the information that physicians get for high blood pressure is totally inadequate. And the reason is that there's a lot of error associated with the blood pressure measurement to begin with. If you take 10 different readings, you get 10 different answers. And in addition to that, you're really not even measuring a central pressure. You're measuring a peripheral pressure, which doesn't correlate with the central pressures. And in addition to that, and perhaps the biggest problem, is that it's a single point in time measurement. So what the Framingham Heart Study showed way back when was that what you really want in order to manage the condition of hypertension is you want a series of blood pressure measurements. And you want to use that average measured over a long period of time to manage the disease.
So now tell us what you're doing with this very interesting technology.
Well, through a literature search, we discovered that there are changes that occur in the membrane of the red blood cell. And these changes basically persist.
Related to the blood pressure.
Related to blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, your blood cells, as they circulate in your blood system, are experiencing additional shear stresses. And the shear stress causes the blood cell to react by making itself more deformable so that it can pass more easily through in difficult conditions. And so we make an optical spectroscopic measurement that relates to these molecular changes that are occurring. And the measurement correlates best with a long-term average of blood pressure.
So what's going to happen is my finger will get pricked. There'll be a drop of blood or a couple drops of blood. It'll go in a little tube and it'll measure. It'll come up with a number that measures the deformability of my red blood cells, and over time we'll know that correlates with an average blood pressure of X as opposed to Y or opposed to Z.
Yeah, that's right. When we do our large-scale clinical trials, we'll create a model that relates this spectroscopic parameter, which measures essentially deformability, and we'll relate it to basically the average mean arterial pressure measured multiple times a day over a 2 or 3 month period.
Well, it sounds very cool. So our time together has really zipped by, but I wanted to close by asking you, sounds great. Is it real?
Yeah, it's real. We have a lot of validating data. And
I mean, you've created the instrument. The instrument exists now.
yeah, so the good news is that we don't need to develop any new technology to make the measurement. So it's a mature technology that we're using to make the measurement. And we've done studies. We've done a very small pilot clinical trial so far, and everything looks great. It's actually, interestingly, a very large signal that occurs in the membrane. So it's not even sort of a trace measurement. It's a big signal. The first time we saw it, it hit us over the head. It's a very relatively easy thing to measure.
Well, that was good luck for you with your goal of big and and important. And so, what's the next step for you? You've got a prototype. Is it out on the market yet?
No, we have a prototype, and we're raising a round right now. And with that round, we are going to do the clinical trials, the longitudinal studies that are needed to create the clinical validity. And then we take that data and we go to the FDA and go through the FDA approval process. So there's a bit of a road ahead of us. We think it'll be 2 years before we can go to market.
Oh, geez. And you sold your last company in just 2 years. This one might take a little bit longer.
It might take a little longer.
Well, I think it's very exciting. I love the idea that you came in and and took a problem that most of us wouldn't have seen as a problem and have come up with a very innovative solution that is going to have huge potential, I think, in the realm of hypertension. So I want to thank you for joining us, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you raise lots of money.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was fun.